What's up guys, and welcome back to the West Side. As you may know, Yola has released their new lineup of pro paddles a couple of months ago. I went ahead and purchased a Yola Agassi Pro, and I have been using this for the past 2 months. So I kind of wanted to give a quick update about how this paddle has been performing, what's the durability been like, what were my thoughts when I first started playing with it, and now what are my thoughts 2 months later. So let's go ahead and get into it. When I first bought this paddle, one of the biggest unknowns, not just for me, but for the entire pickleball community, was will this paddle core crush as fast as the Perseus 3, the Perseus 3S, and especially the Mod TA15? That was one big question that I had, and I really didn't know what to expect because Yola had made a lot of promises that these paddles are gonna hold up a lot longer. They're not gonna have another disaster like they did with the Perseus 3. So when I first bought it, I just didn't know what to expect. I just thought, you know what, after a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, we'll really start to see people's opinions online on YouTube. They'll make reviews about whether or not the durability actually holds up like Yola says. Now, if I'm being totally honest, when I first started playing with this, I was pretty disappointed in the power output because I'd been told by just about everybody in the community that this was the best power paddle that you could buy. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, this is basically built the same way as the Pro 4 is built, all right? It's got the same internals, it's got the same TFP, got the same propulsion core. It's just a different shape. There's nothing different about it. The power should be very, very, very similar to the other Pro 4 paddles that Yola has released. In some of my first play sessions, I was noticing that the power was not as much as I thought because I had a Selkirk 007 and I noticed that was more powerful than this paddle. So I will say I was a little bit let down with the power. I was expecting more velocity on my serves. I was expecting my drives to be harder, but don't get me wrong, they were pretty good. The power was there. It just wasn't as mind-blowing as most people had told me about. I really wanted to believe the hype. I really wanted this paddle to be my #1 power paddle, but when I first played with it, it just wasn't. Now, I did get the 16mm, so I thought that maybe that was the reason why. The pop was also lower than expected. I did expect it to be on the lower end of pop just because of the thickness that it had. It definitely was not gonna have as much pop as my 007. That thing has insane pop just because it's as thin as a board. It's a 10mm. This one's 16. One thing I did like about this paddle right out of the gate is that it felt good. When I would hit the ball, it just felt crisp. The feeling of the ball making contact with the paddle felt really, really good. My Selkirk 007 feels disgusting. You hit that paddle and it just feels like you're hitting a wooden plank. This feels a lot more plush, a lot more cushiony compared to my Selkirk 007. That's like a world of a difference. After the first maybe week or two, I tried to gather my thoughts and see what I really thought about this paddle. And my conclusion was that it was overall good at everything. And that's why I didn't like it that much. It didn't really excel in any one aspect like some of my other paddles that I have up here. It didn't have the best spin. It didn't have the best pop. It didn't have the best power. It didn't have the best control. It just did good at everything. And I was actually disappointed because I thought it was gonna be the best at something, at least one of those categories. And it wasn't. And that may sound like I'm just griping about it. Maybe that sounds like a good thing to you, but for me, I wanted this to be the best. The hype kind of let me down. Maybe I watched too many YouTube reviews about how much people like this thing, how much better it was than the 3S. Now, my opinion on this paddle started to change around the 6-week mark. I've been playing with it pretty consistently. I put easily over 20 hours on this paddle already. So around that 6-week mark is when I started to notice a change in the power. And at first I thought it was just me because I'd been playing with my carbon true foam for a while, back and forth. I put this down for maybe a week or two, picked this back up, played my first game, served, just sailed way over the line. And I thought, golly, did the form on my serve change that much from playing just with that one paddle? I played all day and just kept on hitting it over the line on my drives and my serves. And I thought something is going on. Like either I suck really bad today or this paddle changed on me. It just felt like a different paddle. So that's when I decided to test all my paddles collectively again and see which one had the most power. This had the most power by far, not even close. Serving power, driving power, it was there. The pace on the ball was just way faster than any of my other paddles that I had. And I really thought like there's no way that this is already broken in that much to where it's starting to heat up. And it kind of scared me thinking that. I was like, I hope that's not the case. I've only had this thing for 6 weeks. I started feeling around and kind of just like, seeing, okay, is this core crushed or not? And then I felt it right here, this top corner. I mean, just the slightest bit, and I was like, no way. I don't know, maybe it's just something that's a tiny bit loose in the corner. But I've never core crushed a paddle, but from all the reviews that I've seen, that sounded somewhat similar to a core crushed paddle, at least a tiny bit. So I decided to keep an eye on this paddle, continue to play with it a little bit more, see if it was heating up anymore. But one thing that started to click to me was that maybe it had sped up the process by adding more weights on the paddle, because I was not satisfied with the initial power output that it had. So I added some tungsten weights all along the top edges, because I thought, you know what, if this is not my most powerful paddle, I will make it my most powerful paddle. And I just added some weight all the way towards the top, which I never do. I only add weights on the sides down to the bottom corners, never on the top, because I know how head heavy it makes it. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I want this, I really want this to be my most powerful paddle. So maybe having weight on the top kind of sped up the process of it breaking in, at least breaking in a little bit more than usual. Now, luckily the crunching hasn't spread anywhere else, but when I first heard it, my reaction was, well, I should have seen that coming. And you'll also notice that my paddle is pretty clean. It hardly has any scratches. You may think that this hasn't seen 8 weeks of play, because that's how long I've been playing with it, is about 2 months. This definitely has seen plenty of hours of play. It just doesn't look like it because I play indoors most of the time. So the balls that you play with indoors are not scratched up. They don't have any residue coming off. So when you hit them with your paddle, it's not really affecting the face of your paddle as much, not nearly as much as when you play outdoors with a ball that's been chewed up and scratched up and it's hitting your paddle over and over and over again. And I'm glad, because this paddle looks good. I want to keep it looking good. It still feels really, really gritty, almost as gritty as it did on day one. Spin has not dropped off by any means, not that I've noticed. It still feels just as gritty, just as spinny as it did when I first opened it up. After playing with this paddle for already 2 months, I'm really hoping that Yola comes out with a core that's just all foam, while still keeping a lot of the same properties and power that this paddle has. If they're able to pull that off, where they create a paddle that's an all foam core that doesn't core crush and it still puts out the same amount of power, maybe even more, I'm buying that. But at the end of the day, this Agassi Pro is still a Gen 3 constructed paddle that costs $280. And I'm pretty disappointed knowing that my paddle has an expiration date. I just don't know when it's gonna be. It's gonna break eventually. At one point, this is gonna break in, it's gonna start to core crush, and I'm just not looking forward to that at all. It makes me want to pick up this paddle a lot less, because I spent my money on this paddle. I did not spend $280 just so that I can abuse the heck out of this paddle, break it, and then have to warranty it and get a new one. The average player, like myself, finds it very hard to drop $300 on a paddle that has a very short expiration date. Now, I know foam core paddles are also going to have an expiration date, but as far as it looks right now, with the Diadem Blue Core coming out, with the Selkirk 008, with the Carbon True Foam, the Honolulu J2NF, with all those paddles coming out, they look very, very promising with their durability. It seems to me that the future is going to be all foam cores. So at this point, I can't really justify buying these paddles when this new foam core technology is already here. It's only a matter of time before Yola starts implementing this in their new paddles, and then you can actually buy a really good paddle that lasts much longer than the Pro 4s or the Agassi Pros. Even if this is still considered one of the best paddles that you can buy right now on the market, there are plenty of other options that are cheaper, that can still put out almost, if not the same amount of power. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I just wanted to give a quick little update about my Agassi Pro paddle. If you guys have one, what do you think of it? Have you core crushed one of these before? Are you on your second, third, or fourth paddle? I've seen reviews where people are already on like paddle number 6, which is like absolutely insane, okay? I don't know how hard some people are hitting these paddles, but I'm an average guy. I swing it average. I don't swing it that hard. I'm just hoping that this doesn't break soon. But that's gonna do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-month update on my Agassi Pro, and I'll see you guys again on the west side.